This is the last photograph that Lindsey Graham took before he died. If this photo doesn't say everything, I don't know what does. This is Lindsey Graham holding a drone that is meant to kill people.
How'd that work for you, Lindsey?
Well, I think he's smiling extra wide because it does look like it is a drone with a very, what I would call inviting head to it. Perhaps it could be inserted somewhere for pleasure purposes.
Well, that's probably what he's used to doing with it, aren't you, Lindsey?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Which makes one wonder: did he actually die of cardiac arrest, or did he die of something else? And not to get too conspiratorial, but I actually do believe that he was murdered, and how that went down, I'm not 100% certain.
I want to know, so that you guys, we need to figure it out, because I need to know who to send my fruit basket to. And that's the problem. I don't know. Is it the Ukrainians? Was it the Russians? Is it the Iranians? Is it Mossad?
I think it's the Iranians.
No. Here's the thing. I just need to know where to send my gift basket. So if anybody does ever figure it out, well, I absolutely believe he was murdered in Ukraine. Or he could he have dropped dead in Ukraine? Yes, that is possible. He could have just dropped dead of a heart attack, but he did not get back here and then die. I don't believe that for a second. He died there, and they're covering that up. Why? That we don't know that, but something is very off. So
I can't decide whether it was Putin and the Russians or Zelensky. Well, it wouldn't even be Zelensky, because Zelensky, of course, is a puppet and he does what he's told. But
he's next.
Yeah. And of course,
my theory, and this is my personal theory, it does not reflect the views of anyone else. I think that there, at this point, after this many years with Russia and Ukraine, that there has to be an element within Ukraine in the government, high up, that is not in favor of what's going on, and they're sick and tired of being used as our cannon fodder in this bullshit. Now, whether or not they're going to publicly say, but there has to be this resistance in Ukraine that is sick and tired of people like Lindsey Graham urging them to have their kids go and die in a war that they can't win. I refuse to believe that everybody in Ukraine in leadership is gung-ho. I don't think so. I think they're sick of it. I think if it was Russians, it would have happened a long time ago.
I think that's probably a fair statement. I can't say
Ukrainians. Yeah, no, we don't know.
But I think it's also fair to say that, Lindsey has been at the forefront of anything and everything related to death and destruction along the entire world. And this is somebody who has always been revered in the public eye, which of course is terrible. It shouldn't be.
By who? Nobody's revered him. I don't know who you think reveres him.
I'm talking about elected officials who wanted to sing the praises of his eulogy.
I don't think they revere him either. I don't think they liked him at all. I think most of that stuff is just bullshit political speak that they feel obligated to say. This was an evil fuck. This was an evil fuck. So, although a lot of them are too, so they're kindred spirits. I mean, I can see Amy Klobuchar liking him. Sure, why not? She's a cunt and a half, so she probably does like him. But yeah, nobody's sad about this. Nobody's sad. Nobody's grieving this man. Nobody's all upset that he's not coming home. Nobody cares.
There's a good reason why nobody should care.
South Carolina, I'm asking them to send their sons and daughters over to the Mideast. What I want you to do in the Mideast, to our friends in Saudi Arabia and other places, step forward and say, this is my fight too. I join America. I'm publicly involved in bringing this regime down. If you don't, you're making a great mistake, and you're going to cut off the ability to have a better relationship with the United States. I say this as a friend. They want to bomb because they're Nazis. They're crazy. They want to kill all the Jews, and the Jews have been down that road before. Our friends in Israel.
They want to kill all of us? The Iranians? They want to kill all the Jews? Did the Jews in Iran know that?
Probably because
I don't know. The Jews in Iran seemed pretty safe and secure. So this is news.
God bless you. I'm with you in every way. To all the anti-Semites, to all the isolationists, I don't believe. forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day.
And that's now. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on your way out.
What do you think was the last thing he saw before he completely shut down?
Someone's taint.
Yeah, probably. I was going to say his asshole. That would be my guess.
It doesn't matter.
They're
And
the
I
best
honestly, we might not ever know.
No, which is why we can play, we can play the game of
I can tell you, when we're done with this clip, I could tell people what I do know versus what I
we could hope for. God bless Israel.
All right.
We should move all our stuff to Israel. Thank you. I go back to South.
So if people are interested, Larry Johnson has done a very good breakdown of this on Dialogue Works with Nima Alkershed. If you don't watch Dialogue Works, highly recommend. But Larry broke down the timing of the travel, the logistics of the travel. And what he said, and I don't need to get into every little detail because you guys can go watch it. But the bottom line is the only way that Lindsey Graham could have died here in this country is if he was the only person in any sort of diplomatic position, including President Biden, President Obama, and other presidents. Then only Lindsey Graham was gifted the use of a plane, because everybody else, to get to where that was in Ukraine, takes this certain train. It's a train. It's how President Biden got there. It's how Ursula von der Leyen got there. It's how all these people get there. So in order for us to believe that Lindsey Graham was home in time to have died here, then we have to accept that for some reason, he was offered an airplane for travel, even though nobody else is. Well, because otherwise the timeline doesn't work. That's the rub. Because if you look at when the train happened to where you would have gotten the plane and where you would have, when you follow the logistics, and someone like Larry Johnson, who's done this trip and knows what they do, has said that's no one ever flies. They all take the train.
Yeah. That's a very key detail. And I don't think you're never going to be able to justify an excuse. You're never going to say, well, in this case, we made an exception. No, you're not.
No. Well, it was either, and this is what he speculated, what Larry speculated, either he was having a severe medical emergency, and so they had to have a medical evac. And so that was what justified the plane evacuation. Or he was already dead, and they needed to rush him back to get a plausible story. Either way, it didn't happen how they said it happened. He didn't get back here and then die of a heart attack or whatever, an aortic rupture or whatever it is. So this is sort of like the Charlie Kirk case, where I don't know what did happen, but I know what didn't happen. And once they're lying and once they're covering up, well, okay, so why? Why would you do that? If he had died of natural causes, why would you have to be scrambling to come up with a whole song and a dance?
Because it's a cover-up. Because
Correct.
It's a cover-up.
So the question is, we should do a poll. Guys, we could do a poll. Didn't we talk about that?
Yes.
Who do you guys, Colin, we should set up a poll. I mean, who are our choices? I think it was Ukraine. Some people will say Russia, Iran. Israel.
US, or Israel. But why would Israel do it? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Everyone now just says Mossad for everything. It's not a bad argument, but.
Well, the argument, here's the one argument.
Why would the U.S. that would be just as weird as Israel killing you?
Well, no, the one argument you can make for Israel is that in their mind, I think they really are so warped to believe that if they were to do that, that they think that creating an international incident by assassinating a senator, that would all of a sudden gin up support to go to war against Iran. No.
No, and here's why that doesn't make sense to me. This is why our false flags, thank you, when our false flags are generally not effective. Like if it were a false flag, it would be an attempted assassination. If it were one of our false flags, they wouldn't have actually killed Lindsey Graham. I don't think. And yeah, I could be wrong. He's probably pissed off everybody and their mother 10 ways from Sunday. I don't know. But
we can read a lot of these so-called eulogies of this guy, but remember, this is the whole thing.
Oh God, Amy
the whole thing about polite society and on Capitol Hill and whether this is legitimate or not.
My bet is on Ukrainian resistance at high levels.
Yeah,
My
I
bet
could
is
see
that they are sick and tired of being the bitch for us and NATO. And they are sick and tired of people like Lindsey Graham forcing their kids to go die in a war that the majority of them realize they can't win now.
Here's what
So to me, that's what I think.
Here's what Senator Klobuchar said earlier today. It was a shock this morning to find out that my friend Lindsey Graham has died. He was a man who loved his work, his country, and his family. He didn't have an easy life growing up. And to me, that explained a lot about him, as well as his devotion to his remaining family members, including his sister.
He didn't have a good life growing up, and that explains why he's an evil fuck.
I guess it's nice. Got to take it out on everybody else.
Okay.
It also explained his almost kid-like exuberance about his job and the responsibilities he was given. Even in his 60s, he would get off a plane in a foreign land with a twinkle in his eye and look at me as if to say, "Can you believe we are actually here and doing this?" Oh my
God. And yes, I can't. There was a twinkle in his eye, Amy, you stupid cunt, because he was eyeing all the people that he was going to blow up and kill. That really turned him on.
Yeah, Amy absolutely wrote this. Lindsey was loyal to friends and causes. He was willing to work on gnarly issues.
Really, Amy?
Gnarly. And take on, it shows you that she was a college kid in the 90s, and take on at times political risks for the right reasons. It is fitting that he died shortly after visiting Ukraine, one of the causes he would stand up for through thick and thin. Yeah, almost as if he cared more about Ukraine and Israel than he did about the United States. Much will be said in the coming days about his relationships with others, President Trump and John McCain, for instance.
I would think that the relationships with the others would be a whole lot of people in, I don't know, alternate kind of worlds.
But what can't be forgotten is the reason why so many people he worked with, from senators to staff, will mourn his loss. Lindsey had a zest for life and the Senate that made you want to get to work on a bill with him or at least debate him. He brought joy to his job. Lindsey Graham was one of who was willing to work with me when so few would on helping the Afghan refugees. You mean the Afghan refugees that he had supported the war efforts to make sure that they became refugees? Yeah, that's a good one. Love when we can just nail your ass.
Klobuchar gives a real shit about the Afghan refugees.
I remember standing outside of a little phone booth in the Republican cloakroom last year as he spoke with the VP, holding up a sign that said, "Save the Afghans." And he put the phone on hold and said, okay, I will go on your bill, even if it gets me in trouble. Or his early willingness to lead on big tech bills, including repealing the provision that protects them from consumer suits. I can't. But mostly my fond memories of spending time with Lindsey and me traveling the world with John McCain was not about the ups and downs of his policy positions. It was about his love for the world, his loyalty, his hard causes and his friends, and the pure joy he brought to life. I will miss him. Why don't you cry? Jen, you're muted.
Yeah, we got to stop talking about Klobuchar. You see this picture right here of Lindsey, Klobuchar, and Zelensky? I don't know, Amy, maybe you're next on their list. Because if I was a pissed off Ukrainian and I had power and I was high up in government and I realized that the Americans, and specifically cunts like you, were forcing us in this, I might be sick of your shit too.
Yeah, and one really has to ask themselves exactly, what, if anything, are you trying to prove by doing this? As if to say, this is really the part of the story that I think is very disturbing and one of the reasons why people hate politicians, and rightfully so. Amy Klobuchar is who she is. I don't think anybody is going to question that. I think that is all very realistic in regards to the fact that she is not the nicest person. She has that reputation. However, the idea that you are not going to say one negative thing about him, not one thing to say, we really had very big disagreements, particularly on foreign policy. No, you don't have disagreements because you're just as much of a fucking war hawk as he is. I believe that.
That's why well, with her for sure.
That's why they kissed his ass. And that's why Kirsten Sinema went out and put out a glowing statement. We don't have to read them. We all know that they're relatively the same. I don't know what Bernie said, but I'm willing to bet that Bernie's statement is very similar to the one that I mocked the other day when I was saying, listen, the senator, Senator Graham, we had big disagreements. I think that this is unfortunate, but, rest in peace. Yeah, Cory Booker. Did you see the statement?
Burn in hell, Lindsey. No one will miss you. No one will miss
Now,
you.
if you want to talk about a eulogy that really matters, you want to talk about one that really hits home, one of the things that Jen and I both firmly believe is that you pretty much cannot get to the highest levels of power in our country unless you are under control. And basically, there is dirt on you that can be exposed at any time. And if they have to release it, they will, and they will use it against you in the worst ways possible. So here is a letter from somebody named Jesse James Rose, eulogy for a horny hypocrite.
Love this.
Colin, can you please show the picture?
I love this. See, Lindsey, if you had procreated and had children, a lot of this probably wouldn't be able to be coming out. But I guess, you know, your legacy ends here, and these people are oh so well to hand that over. It's so glorious.
Now, as you can see, Lindsey is trans, and she has a lot to say.
Oh, she's not. Her name is not Lindsey.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jesse James Rose. I apologize.
Yes, she is trans.
Just woke up to find out that Lindsey Graham is dead. Most of you know him as the homophobic senator from South Carolina. But to me,
Yes.
he will always be the man who paid a Twinkie pre-transition college student, me, a fat stack of cash to do unspeakable things to him in a hotel room while he wore red lingerie.
Told you. Go back and find every episode where I insisted that that man was wearing red lingerie.
It is a, you actually did say that. You said he was a guy. Yeah.
I know.
It is a canon trans event to have far-right freaks bankrolling you and then turning around and voting against you. People love to judge us for it, but I never see them opening their wallets. Shout out to sex workers everywhere forced to humanize their enemies just to make rent.
Seriously.
It is an absolute mindfuck too, me, that one of the reasons I have any semblance of financial security and a lack of student loans is because of this man. At the time, I had no idea who he was, and I only figured it out because another group of twinks leaked Lady G, as he was known, to the media. Some queers tried to grandstand critique this, saying we shouldn't out people. Oh, really?
I believe that when people are like that, yes, you do.
Yes, I agree. I believe bigots with power deserve no peace or privacy, especially when they hold public office. I'm glad they did it. Icons forever. Anyway, if you've ever enjoyed what I do on the internet, know that it is in part because of Lindsey's generous donations over a decade ago. If I've ever sent you money for something, know that was kickstarted by the now deceased sissy senator from South Carolina.
I take issue with, go back up for a second, that she referred to it as Lindsey's generous donation. That's not a donation, Jesse. You worked for that.
Yeah.
You worked for that. It wasn't a donation. Okay. I don't think that man ever donated anything.
Apparently
he's Lady G in the Mossad files is what they're saying. Mm-hmm.
Lindsey, rest in hell for what you did to our community. I will continue to love queer and trans people harder than you ever hated us. You loved every second of our time together, and now everyone knows. That's
Here's
how
the thing. I hate to break it to you, Jesse, but many of us, not remotely surprised. Good for you for making money off of it and taking care of yourself. And, you know, but that piece of shit should not be remembered with any grace at all.
I agree.
I honestly, if you have nothing good to say about the dead, say nothing. They're dead. Good. Right.
We have one final person to cover here because apparently they might be on the chopping block. And Lord knows I wouldn't mind if they were. Colin.
Are we going into Mitch?
No, we will in a minute, but we have to cover we have to cover the nutcase. We have to cover the nutcase who cost me my job.
Oh God.
Colin, there we go. Okay. So as we said, there is a belief, rightfully so, that there is a belief that Senator Graham was likely taken out. Now, according to Psycho Woman, Laura Loomer, did Russia just poison Lindsey Graham?
Did they, Laura?
There seriously needs to be an investigation. Russia just sent a delegation to Khomeini's funeral in Tehran, where the IRGC and funeral organizers was calling for myself, President Trump, and Senator Graham to be assassinated.
We're still going to hold him to it, Laura. We're holding him to it. Yeah.
Can't happen fast enough. Lindsey Graham was in Ukraine one day ago calling for a Russian sanctions bill that he claimed the White House supports. Now he is suddenly dead from a random illness, according to his staff. Did Russia just murder a U.S. senator? Hey, let me tell you something. It's one thing about being a Looney Tune and going against the grain. The establishment already has their narrative in terms of how he died. But as it turns out, they are not sticking with that narrative, because already you have somebody like Laura Loomer coming out and saying, did Russia kill him?
Well, we know their narrative is silly. We know their narrative is silly. It makes no sense. And I don't think it was Russia. And the reason I'm not saying that other nations don't do shit like that. But when I look around the world today, what I predominantly see in terms of international relations is American empire with their little Israel bitch going around and assassinating leaders all over the place. That's our playbook. I'm not saying that a country like Russia or China, that they don't do stuff like that. I don't know. But I do know for sure that we do. So why would this is so basic. Wouldn't we just assume that it's the most likely source?
I think so.
Well, that would be empire.
Okay.
That would be empire or somebody rogue in empire.
Okay. So according to the shock poll, 84 votes. We just had it done in the court. It was like 10 minutes. Thank you guys for participating. U.S. or Israel, 45%. Russia, 25%. Ukraine, 22%. And Iran, 8%. Very interesting.
Now, I will say this, though, for the people that think U.S. or Israel, which is also very plausible. When we say Ukraine, when I say Ukraine, we're talking about basically the NATO strategy, our strategy, empire strategy that we dragged the EU into, saying that we're going to prop up Ukraine and we're going to do this whole proxy war against Russia. But then we bailed on them and abandoned it, and they're still sort of stuck in it. So that's why, to me, I feel like Ukraine, but keeping in mind that Ukraine is also acting as an arm of empire in that capacity, because they are part of what we're doing. So I just want to know who to send a fruit basket to.
So the Donald came out today and said, I am bequeathing the seat to his sister until the end of his term,
which will be at the end of the year. So I guess they're going to have a special election for the next term. We'll see how that unfolds. You know that they're going to be very picky about this, and we'll see what happens.
They're going to do whatever they can to create a scenario where Thomas Massie can't win that seat.
Well, that's Kentucky.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So distracted.
Yes, I know.
I'm thinking about McConnell.
I'm thinking they're all dead right now. Jen, can you explain to Gillian why you use the dreaded C word?
Why not? Why don't I use the dreaded C word? I don't mind the C word.
No, I don't mind it either. I think it's perfectly fine. I think given the circumstances, I think there are times where
the C word. Keeping in mind that I don't just use the C word for women. And again, in places like the UK and also I think Australia is like this too, the word cunt is so interchangeable for like asshole. Like they use it and they call all sorts of people that. Like in the UK, men call men cunts. Like it's yeah. I'm kind of in that. For me, it's more of that colloquial usage than anything having to do particularly with women anatomy.